Hello! I just finished my mock exam. Yeah. Now the only things that I need are the results, but those can wait. I'm in no rush to get them, really. Since I have more time now, I thought I'd do a review of a movie I watched about a month ago. It's The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. Hope you guys saw it because it's really good, and I think in Italy, where I am now, it's still in the cinemas, so maybe it's where you are as well, so go see it if you can. If you don't know the story, there's really no point saying that there's spoilers because the book's been out for years. So, I don't know, but I'll be talking about it quite a lot, so if you haven't seen it and you don't want to know, move on. So obviously it's the book before the Lord of the Rings series. Obviously, there's movies as well. The same director that made The Hobbit these past 2 years, and now that it's out, it's kind of a revolutionary film in cinema because of this 48 FPS thing that's come out. Other than the 3D option, there's this 48 frames per second, which means that instead of what we were used to, which is 24 frames per second, you get double the amount of images in the same time, and that means that it gets closer to what our actual human eyes see, which is I think about 60 FPS, so it's much more vivid and much more realistic. But a lot of people have been saying that they don't like it because it's too much. There's a lot of, not a lot, but there's some blurry stuff, some fluidity to the motions which we're not used to, and that's a bit different, but I think it's really nice, and it kind of gives you the impression that you're in a video game of some sort. Like if you guys have ever played Guild Wars or WoW or that kind of role-playing game where you can set the screen so that you see what the character is seeing. It's kind of that feel. I think it's what I'd imagine a video game in the future to be, if you wore visors and you were actually be able to get into the video game with all your senses. That's a bit of how I'd imagine the starting point to be, 48 FPS. So because of this 48 FPS, I actually went to see it twice. Once I went to see it in English, because not all the cinemas here in Italy do it in the original language, so I had to go see it in English. I wanted to, because obviously I wanted to hear their proper voices and stuff. Not that I have anything against dubbing, but sometimes it takes away from the actual movie. Sometimes it's better, but most of the time I prefer it if I can understand the language. So yeah, I went to see it in English, and then a week later my friend and I decided that we wanted to see it in 48 FPS, so we went again. I'm not sure about the 3D yet. I don't know. I don't really like 3D in general, because I'm not really sure if it's always needed. I wear glasses, so already it's kind of annoying having to wear the 3D glasses over them as well, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to see. And then on top of that, sometimes some scenes really don't need 3D. So I don't know. I guess some bits of it where there's more action, it's quite cool, but it's not entirely an action movie, so I don't know. I'm not really sure. The 48 FPS, on the other hand, was really vivid and realistic. It kind of felt like I was in this real world, but with magical creatures, elves, hobbits, dwarves coming in and fighting with swords and monsters coming up. It was really nice to be able to submerge yourself in this world. What we decided, my friends and I, was to have a Lord of the Rings marathon before, so I was really excited when I went to see it. And what you might have noticed if you've watched it is that The Hobbit starts with a scene that was right before the starting of the Lord of the Rings movies. So Bilbo is still old and he's talking to Frodo, and it's incredible how they've made Frodo look as young as before when 10 years have passed since they made a movie. Anyway, they did that, and I think that The Hobbit has a kind of different atmosphere from The Lord of the Rings. The fans of the books will like it because it's quite similar to what the book is written like, but I think The Hobbit was written for a younger audience, a slightly younger audience, but I mean still younger, so there's a lot more, let's say, not comedy but humor and like less of the gory, bloody action bits that you'd expect in the Lord of the Rings series. But I think the most important thing was that actually the fighting in this Hobbit movie was also really good and high quality. I think that the actors really put a lot of effort in making it realistic. The CG obviously is much better than 10 years ago, so the monsters look much more real and they're a bit more disgusting than the Lord of the Rings. I think they're a lot slimier and disgusting. This time it was nice to see the dwarves fighting because they have lots of weapons. They're known for having really intricate, elaborate weapons that are really strong, and their fighting style is quite different from anything we've seen before. So, and there's obviously 13 of them, so each one had to be different in some way, and it was nice to see how the directors but also the design team made that possible by making each one of them really recognizable. Maybe not when you watch it the first time, but after a few times, and also if you've been on Tumblr or if you've read anything else, seen pictures, you kind of start to notice their differences and you recognize each one of them, and that's, I think, really important because 13 is a big number and you could easily start to get confused because they're all the same height. You have the same hairstyles, kind of, you know, there's the same clothes. It would be hard to distinguish, and that's done really well, so I like that. What I think really sparked the interest of a lot of the fandom, especially the female one, but I mean everyone, the dwarves were actually really cool and brave, and not stereotypically what you'd think a dwarf would look. For example, Fili, Kili, Thorin, even Bofur, they're quite, let's say, handsome and strong. They're not the kind of dwarf I'd imagine. I would have thought more of like a Santa Claus miniature version, but it was nice to see that they put a lot of effort in changing that as well. And I know there's a lot of people who actually like the movies because of the dwarves being so good looking as well. One thing I think, if you haven't done it already, that I would suggest to do after The Hobbit is to go on Tumblr and look at all the fandom and the, I don't know how to pronounce it, memes, and that kind of stuff, the fanfics, what people make, because it's really nice to get absorbed into that world of Middle Earth because everyone will bring something of their own to it, and it kind of builds up the excitement because the next movie will be this winter, I think, and the trailer is only coming out this summer, so we need to keep that going. Another character that's really taking the fandom, even if he's only been on screen for about, what, 2 minutes? 3 minutes in all? I think is Thranduil. Thranduil is played by Lee Pace, who's a very good actor, and I think he really fits the role, even if we've only seen a bit of it. But I think that scene was so rich, the expression was so significant, that I think a lot of people just took that and their imagination just went wild. I'll leave some links in the description box so you can see some of the art that's been made, but it's hilarious. And I think really this will make seeing the next movie so much better, because now we know more. And I've decided that I won't read the book, The Hobbit, before I see all of the movies that are coming out. So I actually don't know what's going to happen next. But I'm going to read Lord of the Rings when I can, when I finish my exams and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think in our own ways we'll want to keep that alive, and these films are like a second chance for us to keep that alive from Lord of the Rings. One of the things that everyone's been discussing is the fact that the eagles haven't taken them at the end of the movie closer to the Lonely Mountains, and I think other than the fact that it's obviously not gonna make 3 movies if you take them all the way to there. Also, I read somewhere that it's because the eagles didn't want to pass through the valley where there were humans who were actually looking to kill the eagles, and because there was this enmity between them. The eagles didn't feel so much in debt with Gandalf to have to take them through the valley and risk their own lives, and that's why they left them on that mountain peak. I still think they could have taken them somewhere where it wasn't such a random mountain peak. They could have at least taken them down halfway through the mountain. I don't know. But I guess it's a really effective place to drop them, since you can see the Lonely Mountain. And cinematographically, it's really, really nice scenery, and I think more than ever before, I really want to go to New Zealand now. Because if it looks like that all of the time, then I mean, who wouldn't want to go there? So overall, I really like this movie, and I recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it yet. I'm really looking forward to the next one. I really can't wait. I mean, a year seems so far away, but by the time it gets there, I'll probably be like, a year? A year's just passed? What? So yeah, hopefully it comes soon. I'll be in England by then, so that's, wow. Weird. I'll be in uni. That's so weird. Yeah, so hopefully you liked it and you got an idea of the movie. And if you have any comments and opinions, write them down. I really want to know what you guys think. So let me know, and thanks for watching, I guess. Bye!